Hey, babe, thanks for joining me tonight. We are going to go over the taboo topic of hiring and how in business you can look at this like dating and how it can have so many different meanings depending on who you're talking to. So while you're hiring out for a job, it is the same as like going on a date. And sometimes, depending on who it's with, you can either be just enjoying each other's company, like with an independent contractor, or you could be in a full-fledged relationship, like with an employee. So I'm going to go over that today. If you don't already know, I'm Marquita. I founded Beneficial Bay, where I give great business assistance to entrepreneurs. And I do this by providing my signature KISS, or Keep It Simple solutions. I do this by providing business calls, great tips and topics, and on my Instagram page, so follow if you don't already. Again, we're going over hiring. So first, let's talk about it. The two different types of dating or hiring that you can do is hire out for a job with an independent contractor, or you can actually be dating or in a relationship with somebody like an employee. The first major difference is how you're going to pay them at the end of the year. Your independent contractor is going to receive a 1099 and your full-fledged employees will receive W-2s. If you need help on what days those go out, feel free to go and check out my Instagram page or Facebook page, depending on where you're meeting me tonight, because I just put a post up not even a week ago explaining all the different schedules and forms that you'll need and the dates to file them. So let's dive right on in. It's only 6 different things that really differentiate the two. And I kind of just want to go over them real quick because I don't want to hold you too long. The first is who's paying for what? Because if you're going Dutch, then, which basically means the independent contractor is paying for all their own things. And in this instance, we're talking about tools, materials, fees, equipment. Then more than likely you have an independent contractor, whereas with an employee, you as the employer will take on the responsibility of paying for any type of things that's related to the scope of work needing to be done. The second thing you definitely want to take into account is the experience as far as like training. So with the independent contractor, they usually come already experienced, knowing how to do the work, and they are providing this to you as a product or service. Whereas an employee, you sometimes have to take on the burden of teaching them from scratch everything that you need done, and not just like how to do it your way, but how to do it all together because they don't have a clue. The third is seeing other people. And by this, I mean, with the independent contractor, they're a business on their own. So they are able to provide whatever service they provide to you to someone else. Whereas with an employee, you're kind of like in a relationship and their loyalty lies to you and your firm and your business because they are a part of you, your firm, and your business. The fourth thing is affordability. Can you afford to actually keep me? And by this, I mean, other than like paying for the date, there are certain different expenses in a relationship when you really get with somebody that you are going to be responsible for. In business, this looks like paid and sick leave, vacation leave. This also looks like health insurance and different things of that nature. You guys are going to sign up to take on a little bit more responsibility to your employer, whereas your independent contractor is only getting paid for whatever services are rendered and whatever fees were set up front. The last thing you definitely want to go over is permanence and dependence. And this is a legal term they use, the IRS will use when it comes to designating if a person is an employee of your business or not. And basically this means, by permanence, it means how long is it? Like, is it just a fling where I provide my service and then I can go about my way? Or am I a permanent staple, whereas I am constantly providing this to you? And dependence comes from, okay, even if I am constantly providing this to you, are you taking up so much of my time where I'm unable to have a viable business for myself to provide this for someone else because my everything is going to you and your business? And if you were to pull away from me, would I be able to survive as a business? So that's where that permanence independence comes from. So just a quick recap, because this is it. You want to think about who's paying for what, like who's footing the bill, how much experience and training does that person need, seeing other people as far as can they work for somebody else and provide that same service to somebody else, affordability, which is basically, can you afford things outside of the normal realm of the date? And the last thing is permanence independence, which is this a fling basically or not? Is this the real thing? So some things to keep in mind too, I definitely want to point out, are work for hire agreements. When you are hiring your employee, you have your job description, your different filing forms for your employee. Same thing for your independent contractors. In this work for hire agreement, you need to be going over how much is getting paid, the scope of work as far as like what is expected of them, and when. You also need to talk about ownership of the work being provided. So let's say somebody recreates my website or something like that. Technically, because they made it, they own it, unless we put this clause in our independent contractor agreement or our work for hire agreements saying this is a work for hire. And though you did create this, you created this solely for my benefit, and I own the rights to this work as my business has paid you for the rights to this work. Another thing you definitely want to keep in mind for your work for hire agreements is your indemnification clause. Meaning, if we're out together on a date and I'm working for you, vice versa, and we get into a fight, or you get into a fight, that person wants to sue me or my business because you were working for me. And the indemnification clause basically means you're responsible for whatever you did and damages you occurred, even if you were working for me at the time. And if you're smart, I would make it go both ways, where the same for you. I'm responsible for anything that I may have done to cause any damages or liabilities to somebody else while you were doing this work for me, so that any legal trouble, even if my company is held responsible, you know that you are still indebted to pay whatever type of restitution that I would have to pay, and vice versa. I still got my 2020 cause up, so definitely head over to www.beneficialbay.com to schedule yours today. If you have any questions, feel free to link them down below. If you like this video, please feel free to repost and share it, because I love all the engagement. Give me something to go on to let me know that you guys actually do appreciate these videos. Till next time, bye.